Welcome, welcome. And we are live. We're live on the Facebook in the LabCoatAgents. Lab Coats, today you get a double dose of the man himself. So no worries. If you missed this one, you've got another opportunity this afternoon. However, we're going to be talking a little bit different stuff between the two webinars. And on this one, obviously, this is the real estate mastery version. So welcome, and we've obviously got Bob Tompkins. I think everybody knows who he is. If you don't know who he is, haven't been paying a whole lot of attention on the social media because this guy has got millions and millions. I'm actually curious, Bob, if you know how many millions of views you have on your videos. But I would say this guy right here is the parody king. So he has figured it out. He dominates it, and we're going to dissect it and learn what is behind the thought process on building out these videos, how he scripts them, how he comes up with them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Bob Tompkins. Bob, tell our listener, our audience, who you are, where you're from, and all that good stuff.
Jeff, Tristan, thanks for having me, guys. Always love coming on here and doing these with you guys. So I'm from Anderson, Greenville, South Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina. I've been doing real estate for 4 years. I grew up in a real estate family. Both my parents are realtors. So, just started doing video about 2 years ago, and the parodies definitely put me at the forefront, I think. So, it's been a good ride so far.
I love it, man. I love it. And just to clarify too, I don't want to minimize what he's done and say he only does parodies. We're actually going to talk a lot more about that this afternoon. But on this particular webinar, we are going to dive deep on the viral aspect of what he's created. So Bob, kind of rewind the clock for us. When you started doing video, where did you start?
So I started doing video I started doing video in my office at my house. I bought a bunch of equipment, like probably about $1,500 worth of equipment, set up a little studio in my house, and then just started doing talking head videos to my friends on Facebook. I didn't even have a business page at that point. That was in January of 2019 was when I started doing those. Built my business page out, kept doing the talking head videos for about another month or so. And then started integrating different little like community videos, going to different restaurants, doing a series that I call Beer of the Week. Started doing that and then released the first parody in May of 2019, which most people have seen, which is that Old Town Realtor.
Old Town Road.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I got started doing it. A lot of that was inspiration from, like Gary V sort of mentality of putting out a bunch of content, as much content as you can, and having it be engaging. So at first, like my video style was not something that I would even subscribe to because it was just talking head videos. It wasn't exactly fun to watch, but I think it helped me get comfortable in front of a camera before I started doing some of my other stuff.
And so describe so first of all, if you don't know what talking head is, it's just simply this, right? Just in front of a camera, vomiting, whatever, whether it's personal, business, whatever. What was your talking head style? What was your talking head topics?
So the first video I put out, I believe, like as a talking head video, was 3 things that a buyer should look for in hiring an agent. So I went through like what as a consumer you should want to hear from your agent before you hire them. I mean, it went over well. It's funny looking back on it because it got like 350 views, I think. And I was like, this is amazing. Like 350 people watched this. And, at the time had no idea what the potential reach was with video. So I was super stoked about that, which encouraged me to continue on and do more. But it was really just a matter of trying to inform buyers or sellers on what they should look for in an agent when they were hiring somebody.
It's pretty fascinating because I think video has evolved so fast that most of us video quote unquote experts, and I always put that in quotations because we're all just experts by accident, right? We just started doing it and did it at a high level. But we would all tell people not to do much of that anymore. Like be more authentic. least that's what I say, and I know a lot of people say it. What is your advice to people when they say, you know, hey, that's how you got started, but it was 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, video was not what it is today. It's about quick. So what would be the advice that you would give to somebody when, if they say, damn it, I know I've got to do it? What would be a couple of ideas that you would recommend to an agent who wants to get started doing video?
So honestly, even though I know, as the experts, if you're going to produce content that people are going to watch, that is not the best strategy. But as somebody who's getting started in video, I really look back on that a lot. And I think it was great for me because it gave me an opportunity to talk about something I was comfortable about in front of the camera. And I think what's hard for people is getting comfortable here. And if you try and go out and be, super creative or come up with some interesting concept for a video and you're not comfortable in that space yet, it's going to come across on camera. So the more you can do to get yourself comfortable here, I mean, you could get on camera and talk about your dog. If you've got a lot of, knowledge and passion about your dog, people will at least engage with it because they can see that knowledge and that passion in you when you're talking about it. So for me, what I was comfortable talking about was my work and was real estate. So it's what I got on camera and talked about. And I think the same thing kind of goes over to anybody wanting to do video is you need to start where you're comfortable and then evolve that in to where, you can do the more creative and larger projects.
So what you're saying is they should start with the parody because that is the appeal. That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants, and I would say 2 years ago, even I was thought to myself, like the success of video, the success of content is the virality of it, is how many views did I get? But my mindset has completely shifted about that now. Like I don't even care anymore. It's more about, what are the results? Like what kind of engagement am I getting? What kind of opportunities is it creating? And I could have a video with 50 views and it creates 2 opportunities, and a video with 1 million views that just got me in nothing but a bunch of publicity. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, everybody wants the fame. And I think that's where the parody videos or the creative video that gets 1 million views, that's where the appeal is to it. But all it really is doing is feeding an ego. If you want to feed your family, you've got to create content that generates business. So, the parodies are great, but that's not the goal of the videos.
You should be quoted on that because that was good.
I'm writing that down.
You want to feed the ego or feed the family?
Yeah.
I mean, you could do both though, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, I've gotten to the point to where for me, I'm able to create videos that do both,
That was so good, dude, but I wrote that down.
I just did too. So tell me something though. Explain this to me or to our audience from your perspective. Why does fame matter?
I think I don't know what it is about fame that matters. I think it's everybody. I think from a very young age, especially, we want that like 15 minutes of fame. And everybody looks up to people like your Gary Vaynerchuk's, your Ryan Searhant's, your Chip and Joanna Gaines. Like those are the people that we watch and we aspire to be like. And I think in that aspiration, we want to have the same amount of influence.
Did we lose you?
I think we lost your audio, Tom.
We lost your audio, Bob. So while he's fixing that, I'm gonna give my opinion on the idea of fame. We lost him altogether. We didn't just lose audio, we lost Bob. It's not a matter of, because I think that scares people, Tristan. Like you're famous, right? I'm like way below Tristan level in that regard, but fame creates authority status. And I think it's no different than, think back 10 years ago, when your face was on a billboard. I know, because I've been in the business 20 years. When your face was on a billboard, I thought, wow, they're famous, right? My kids have said that before. Dad, you're famous, you're on a billboard, which is total nonsense, right? But I've actually heard people, and I know you all have heard this before, is people will list a home or sell a home with a realtor because of that quote unquote fame. So you use the word loosely because I think it intimidates a lot of people to have that fame, but think of it like a grocery store cart. Think of it like a billboard. Think of it like a bus stop bench. This is the new fame. So Bob, carry on. Actually, rewind to where you started talking about the whole fame piece.
Yeah, do y'all have my audio now?
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. So I mean, I think when it comes to the fame, everybody, you know, they aspire to who those stars are. And they want to try and have that fame. And really I don't know what a good explanation is for why people strive for that. I mean, I know I love it. You know, it's something that I want, if I'm being honest, because it's flattering, you know, when to have people singing your praises, talking about you, it's super cool. So, you know, there is a lot of motivation to go after that. But I don't know what the core reason is that people want that. Other than the fact that we just like to be the center of attention.
And I'll expand on it a little bit. And again, I think what you said is good because it's real. That's an authentic answer. But the reality is that, you know, fame doesn't necessarily pay the bills, but fame creates opportunities. And again, I think we're using the word fame a little maybe too loosely here, but it does create opportunities. And so I use myself as an example when I teach this all the time, and I list it. It's like, look at these opportunities, bang, 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 bang. And LabCoatAgents is one of them, right? And it's you have to take it and turn it into a parallel mindset, right? It's a parallel. And if you as a realtor create that quote unquote fame in your market, fame creates opportunity. Opportunity equals listings. It equals buyers. It equals people that want to work with you. And that's why this is so important. Tristan, I don't want to do all the talking here. So before we get into the dissection of the viral video, what do you have to add to this?
Well, first I want to know what camera you're using, buddy.
So mine's a Sony A6400 plugged into an HDMI into a cam link. So
nice. And what kind of camera are you using? The Sony, and you're connecting it with the cam link, that little device that you just hook up the HDMI to the back, and then that connects into a USB port on
my laptop.
Right? Pretty easy.
Yeah,
I love that.
So it produces a great image, that's for sure.
It does, man. Great job on that.
It almost looks filtered.
Well, that's the lighting. I've got good lighting in the room, so.
Right,
or you're just that good looking.
What are you excited about doing next when it comes to video? Because the thing that I find is that I get one idea, and then I'm writing it down, and I get another idea, and then I get another idea, and then I don't end up doing that first idea. I just end up doing whatever I thought of that day. How does it work for you?
So my process is actually pretty lengthy. I'll start working on a project, and typically it takes 3 to 4 months to really put it together. For my big projects, I don't work on something unless I believe it's a great idea. So I've thrown a lot of stuff out just because I thought it was just good or it was subpar. So unless it's a great idea, I won't really work on it. That's why I think some people, they see that I only put out a parody video every 6 to 8 months. And it's because I want them, if I'm going to do that quality of a production, I want it to be phenomenal. I don't want it to be just good. So, I mean, my weekly stuff, you know, I've got series. So we've got 2 or 3 that we put out pretty much every week or every other week. And then for the big projects, you know, it's, if I don't love the idea, I don't go with it. So the parodies, like I'll spend probably 100 hours total on those to make sure that they're good, ready to go.
I love that, dude. That's a lot of preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I
think that's where a lot of people make the mistake. Good.
So Bob, I have a question about the places that you place your videos at. Right now, is it just Facebook that you're doing? Are you also using YouTube, Instagram, TikTok? What are you looking to here? So
the first 2 that I did were on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. The third one is on all 3 of those. And then I also put a condensed version of it, a minute of it, on TikTok. Did not perform very well on TikTok. Typically those parodies perform best on Facebook, at least for my audience. However, YouTube, they get viewed every single day. So, you know, I'm still getting views on like Old Town Realtor, Bob Never Broke My Heart, even though they were released year and a half ago, they still get views every single day and from YouTube. But Facebook's really where my wheelhouse is as far as getting, you know, the bulk of my views.
Well, it makes sense because Facebook has quite a lot of American users too, so it makes total sense. It's a lot easier to engage. But YouTube, what would you say is the biggest difference between YouTube and Facebook for engagement that you've noticed?
Well, so for Facebook, I get a bunch of shares, and that allows it to drive out to a bunch of different people very quickly, where YouTube, their algorithm kind of dictates who sees it. Very few people share stuff from YouTube to other platforms. So, you know, the algorithm is watching how many people are watching it for how long, and then they're deciding who sees this, what playlist it gets put on. So YouTube has way more control over who that gets in front of, whereas on Facebook, if my audience is sharing it out, it's getting to their friends and followers just organically by hitting that share button.
Okay, and have you looked into, or do you already do, any type of Google AdSense and turn on that pay to play type thing on YouTube and on Facebook, or either or?
So I haven't, on my music videos, I haven't put any money behind any of them. I've let them just do their thing organically. I mean, I've put stuff behind other videos that are more targeted at driving business. Those are really, for me, they're more about brand awareness, and I don't care if somebody sees that one time and then doesn't see any of my other content. You know, I want them to see the stuff. If I'm paying for an ad, I want them to see the stuff that's driving business, not just stuff that's brand awareness. So, but I'm in a unique spot too, that my influence on the parody videos is really large. So I don't really have to put money behind those to get the reach. So
perfect, man. Perfect.
I would describe Bob has become like Noelle Nielsen status and different, but that's how Noelle has become. And like she just did a 10-minute labs the other night, and it's like people are just waiting on the edge of their seat for the next Noelle video to come out because she's so creative and she's so entertaining and she's so fun, and that's what she's become known for. Now you've become known for this, but you're now spinning that off into other business. So let's get a little bit into that. Let's get into this because that's what we really I want to dissect on is obviously, okay, so it takes a lot of time, but let's rewind before that. What drives the video? What drives the song? How do you even come to this? Is it because people start suggesting things? Is it because, oh my gosh, I love that song? What is it? What makes you choose a video?
So there's several things that go into it. Firstly, I mean, since I was a kid, I've rewritten lyrics to songs just for fun. You know, whether we were in the car driving as a family, I would, you know, put my own lyrics over the song just to try and be funny. My parents never thought it was funny, but, you know, that's what I tried to do. So when it comes to picking a song, though, if you want it to get the best possible engagement, it's got to be a very well-known song, because when people hear that tune, they're gonna watch at least the first 10 seconds to see, hey, what's this about? Because it's familiar to them. If it's a song that they've never heard of, you know, somebody could mistake me as like a musical artist writing my own song or whatever, and they're just gonna keep scrolling past that because it's not interesting to them. That's why every song that I've used, Old Town Road was the #1 song last year. Beer Never Broke My Heart was the #1 country song last year. And then obviously the Knock parody, probably the most infamous song of this year. So, you know, they're familiar for people. So that kind of, it works as a hook to where people aren't trying to figure out what is this video about. They recognize the beat, and then they're going to stick around to see, you know, what I'm going to do with it. So that's kind of the idea behind it. I actually had a whole other song that I was working on before the Knock parody, but when that song came out, it just seemed like it was too hot and too good of an opportunity to pass up on.
Was your first thought Nice Ass Kitchen?
So what's funny, I wasn't even thinking about doing it. I think the song had been out for like 3 days. And then Nick put in Lab Coat. He was like, who's going to do a WAP parody? And
I remember that.
I commented on it and I was like, already working on it. Nice ass kitchen. And I said it as a joke. And my buddy Ramsey Stewart, who's an agent in the Lake of Ozarks, he called me and was like, dude, you have to do that. He was like, that's way too good of an idea. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can put some lyrics together. And the next day I wrote that entire parody in like 3 hours. So it really happened fast.
So do you take the lyrics of, well, first of all, by the way, I'm at my Lake of the Ozarks condo right now. You've got to make the intro to me, to him. I need to meet that guy because I watched his stuff. He's good. But when you take the lyrics now, so do you sit there, play the song over and over and over again, and then put the lyrics with it? Is that how you concoct that?
So when I try to internalize the song. So I'll listen to the song so many times to where I have a feel for the rhythm and the beat of the song. And then when I'm writing the lyrics, I try my best because it makes it easier from a parody standpoint to try and keep the same rhyme scheme and then try and keep the same amount of syllables in every line, because otherwise I'm going to have to come up with my own flow, and I'm not a musical artist. So coming up with my own flow is very difficult. If I can keep it to the original flow of the song with a similar rhyme scheme to that original song, it keeps the familiarity in the listener's ears to where it sounds the same as the original song, so they're more likely to watch it. And then it also makes it easier for me when I'm in the studio recording the song, because I have something to go off of as opposed to trying to recreate it on my own, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah. So song lyrics, is that the order that it goes? Or are you visualizing video?
Song and lyrics are always first. Now, I mean, if I'm able to, some things I will try and force into the lyrics if I know it'll be good for the video. For example, in Knock, I had a line in there that the sink was so large you could get a baby baptized, because I knew if I could use my child in the video, that was only going to help drive engagement. And I mean, and to me, it's hilarious that I dunked my kid's head in the water, but you know, so that sort of thing. Sometimes I will write the lyric with the video in mind, but most of the time we build the video around the lyrics.
That's brilliant. Obviously, anytime you can. So Bob just had a baby, by the way, relatively recently, right? A couple months ago, maybe.
2 months old. 2 months old. Yeah.
Yeah. So you using your children or your pets and tying them into your videos, as you all know, is like taking candy from a baby when it comes to getting engagement. That's obviously brilliant. You didn't even need to do that. It still would have crushed, but that's really fucking smart.
Although that was a very funny part.
Yeah, it was. It was.
That took it to, by the way, that took it to another level. I cracked the crap up at that part. I was like, that was really good.
So, I mean, those little things, sorry, I was gonna say, if those little things, when I'm able to throw them in, like when I had the one line in Old Town Realtor talking about a man came to watch the Force, talking about Star Wars, and my videographer had a Chewie suit, and he was like, dude, you have to wear the Chewbacca suit in the video. You know, the things like that are what elevates it from just being, you know, a pretty good video to being excellent, because people are looking for what's that next surprise or what's that next thing that I don't expect to be here.
That's true, man. That's true.
Okay.
Could you do me a favor and go over the tech that you're using right now? It was only so that people can write it down, because a couple people said it was too fast.
Yeah. So I've got a Sony A6400. That is the camera itself. Then I have a Sigma 30mm lens on it. So the camera itself, you can get a Sony A6400 for like probably around $700. You could get one. Then the lens is about a $300 lens. And then it's a HDMI cable into a cam link. The reason the cam link's important is this camera shoots in 4K. The cam link encodes the video in 4K to the computer. So if you don't have a cam link, this is the only product I know of that encodes 4K right now in real time. I don't know of another encoder that does, that isn't just astronomical in pricing. So you need this. It's like a $250 attachment that goes in there. So the whole thing's about $1,200 and it produces this image. So it's a good setup.
Compatible with with a Apple product or non-Apple?
It's a USB port. So I mean, I don't have Apple products, but I'd assume Apple has USB ports.
Cool. Your PC. Awesome. That's interesting to know, actually, because a lot of big video people are Apple users. I'm not either, but interesting to know. So let's go back to the dissection of the video. So you've got you find this song. We understand how you do that. You then script, which takes time, and then what's next? Is then the conception of how the video is going to lay out? Does that come next?
Yep. So then me and my videographer will get together and we'll storyboard the entire video. So depending on the parody, I mean, that storyboarding can go into very great detail, or it can be relatively simple. The Knock parody was super simple because it was all shot in one kitchen. So there wasn't a ton of storyboarding to go along with it. The video before, Bob Never Broke My Heart, we wrote an entire 30-second intro to the song. So, that was completely scripted out. It was almost like a mini video within the music video. So depending on the messaging and what we want to get across to the viewer, how we storyboard it is, it's extremely important. So, with a country song, country's a less popular genre. So, it's popular where I live, but it's a less popular genre. So it had to be extremely well done on the front end to get people's attention. We had to hook them into that video. With Knock, everybody knows that song. So starting off Drawers in This House right in front of the camera was all the hook I needed. So there was way less storyboarding that needed to go into getting people interested to that video.
And you say that the kitchen was relatively simple, but at the same token, there are what feels like a million cuts in your videos, which has gotta be interesting. And I'd like to dive a little bit into that. And so again, folks, if you're not familiar with these videos, you need to go watch them. So when you get off here, go search Bob Tompkins, probably on YouTube or Facebook, you'll easily find them. But the time that goes into, and I know because I shoot some of these elaborate videos, is that how do you conceive all that? Because again, it's only in one kitchen, but dude, you're cutting every 5 seconds, bam, 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 all over the place. Where does that come from?
So, Tristan, go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy. I'm taking notes.
So, with the Knock video, it was so much of storyboarding to the lyrics, because the lyrics, it jumps from idea to idea to idea, almost every single line. So what we did was we built the video around the lyrics. So when I'm talking about a leak, we cut to me cutting a leak. When we talk about me looking in the fridge, we cut to that. So everything with that video was meant to show exactly what I was talking about at that time. So, if I felt like with that, there were so many visual things that could be played on from the lyrics that it was a missed opportunity if we didn't do that. So that's part of the reason we cut so much in that one, was to make sure we could put a visual to every line, because rap's hard to follow with how fast, you're flying through those lyrics. If they don't have a visual to key into what I'm actually saying, they could miss a line and lose interest and keep scrolling. So that's part of the reason we did that.
Do you shoot it in order as the song goes?
So that's the easiest way to do it. We had a few things out of order. And the only reason we had a few things out of order was there was a couple things we actually had to cook to shoot. So we shot everything that we didn't have to cook first, and then we shot what we had to cook second. But we try to go in order with the song, just because it makes it easier to progress through the shots. Now that's not necessarily true if we're shooting in different locations. Then we're going to shoot those locations, at when we're there. We're not going to jump back and forth like that. But yeah, if we're able to shoot it in order with the song, that's what we do.
The one thing I want to point out here too is, I work with several videographers, and the one consistent annoyance they all have is the lack of preparation that most realtors or real estate professionals have when they show up to a video shoot. And you listen to what Bob is saying here, the preparation is intense. I mean, and I think that's probably going to scare away most people from doing this, which probably you're okay with. Like, hey, I don't need any more competition, right? But that's the reality of it, man. And that's why just video in general, there's not a lot of people doing that, not enough. And then taking it to this kind of a level is just, it's intense, man. I mean, it even scares me off because I'm a procrastinator on anything. And so you cannot procrastinate this. I mean, how long does it take? I can only imagine. How long does it actually take to actually shoot the video? Let's just talk about the kitchen one, because it was one spot.
So,
you have to go around. Yeah. It takes a lot longer.
Yeah, so Knock was the shortest video that we put out. I mean, it was 1.5 minutes long. And it was all in one location. And we still shot for probably 3.5 hours. Because, I mean, they're very labor intensive in the fact that you have to shoot every shot probably, 8, 9, 10 times to make sure that you have the right shot for the video. So, I mean, it takes a lot of time when you're actually there. But as far as, the preparation that goes into it, everybody wants to, be great at video that's doing it. But, if you're not going to put in the work, it's kind of like the guy that's been playing basketball for, 20 years at the YMCA and, thinks he's great, but he never practices. That's the difference between that guy and your Kobe Bryant's, where Kobe Bryant was in the gym before everybody else and he left last. He was always there, always working, always preparing. It shows up on game day. That's why when I'm putting videos out, some people are like, oh my gosh, your videos are so much better. And it's like, well, it should be better. I spent, 80 hours on this. It should be better than everybody else's.
That's awesome.
That has a lot to say. Here, I just wanted to say, Bob, it's a challenge sometimes when it comes to video too, because agents think they could just pick up the phone and shoot something that high quality. There's a big difference. So where do you suggest that people that aren't the greatest at shooting find talent to help them out if they do want to shoot something like what you've got?
Yeah. So first off, I mean, everybody tries to tell everyone that you can just pick up the phone and record to start making content. And I think that's great if you're doing, email marketing or text messaging or stuff like that. But if you're going to actually put the content out and hope for it to get, liked, commented, and shared, then, shooting from your phone is very difficult. Now, it's different with different platforms. I mean, Facebook and YouTube expect a higher quality. If you're on TikTok, everybody's shooting on their phone. So it's a little different. Depending on the platform that you're on, that advice isn't always applicable. Tristan, I completely forgot your question.
How do you find the talent to help you record like you? If you're not the one that's great.
Yeah, so for me, the way I found my videographer is a buddy of mine that I went to college with in February of last year. It snowed here, and they went and put together a snow day video. And it was super clean. I saw it, and at the time was just doing videos by myself. So I reached out to Sam, and I was like, hey, man, we got to get coffee or a beer or something and talk about what we can do, because I need somebody to be able to produce content that looks like this. So we got together. They showed me some of the work that they've been doing. And I was like, this is phenomenal. I think the best way to find someone, though, is to go into, go to YouTube and search videos in your area, because people that live there are going to be creating stuff. You can find somebody who's creating something very good at a good level. Now, some of those people are going to, they're going to cost too much. They're going to price you out. But then some of them may just be, at-home creators that are looking for that sort of opportunity. And by searching them on YouTube or on Facebook and finding people in your area that way, you're able to kind of look at what sort of videos they're already producing, so you know whether or not the quality level's where you need it to be.
So let me ask you this. When it comes to finding the videographer, do you hire them full-time? Are they on retainer, or do you pay them per project?
So my videographer's on retainer. I used to pay them per project, but that was, when my marketing budget was smaller, before I'd really seen what video could do for my business. Then I was paying them per project. We'd come in, work together, collaborate, and then, and then produce it and put it out. So those, I was probably spending between $5,000 and $6,000 last year on the per project. And then as not 5,000 or 6,000 per project, 6,000 total last year. And then this year we've got them on retainer. I pay right at $1,000 a month. And then we have add-ons depending on what videos I'm going to do. So they have a set work list that they do for me every single month. And then, if there's, 3 additional projects I want done, we have it priced out and agreed upon upfront what those are going to cost whenever we do them. So it's, it's the bulk of my marketing strategy. So it's kind of a nice in between of paying per project and hiring somebody full time.
Can I ask you what it cost to produce Old Town? Because that was probably, I assume you did that on a project basis.
Right. So that, now this was before my videographer really blew. My videographer does a ton of music videos now. So this was kind of before he blew up. So it only cost me $2,000. Now, a music video, if I'm going to do that same level of production and just hire him on a per project basis, it would probably cost me $4,000 to $5,000. Now we have a set agreement on how much that costs for me now because I have him on retainer. So it doesn't cost me as much to do that. But if I was doing a per project, it would cost me much more.
How can you help an agent wrap their head around that? Because I think people think about that and they're like, holy crap, no way in hell will I spend that kind of money.
So for me, people will spend $500, $400 or $500 on a listing video that'll get viewed by 1,000 people. So for me to spend 4 times that to something that in the end ended up reaching, the total reach on that video was like 2.5 million. It's kind of a no-brainer for me because the cost per reach is so low. You can't do better marketing than that. And I think it just scares people because it's an unknown. And it's an unknown for me. I don't know what I'm going to get out of these videos when I put them together. One of these videos could flop and I could get like 5,000 views. And now I've spent, almost, what would that be on a $2,000 video? I'd be spending like 40 cents per reach, and that's not good, So it's a risk when you go into it, but I feel like that risk gets negated a little bit by the preparation and the work that gets put into it. Because if you're going to prepare that much, it's going to be a quality product.
So you definitely don't just wing these things, right?
Go ahead.
No, I definitely don't just wing them. Now, for some videos I do. We have a series called Foodie Fridays that we do every other week where we go check out different restaurants, and I have no script for that. We kind of have a set list that we follow for every restaurant, but what I'm going to say on camera is completely off the cuff. But for those videos, that comes across better. When I'm doing something like a music video, or if you were to produce like a little mini TV series, if you don't prepare that stuff, it just comes across, it's going to look like a garage video if you treat it like a garage video.
Makes sense. Dude, what microphone are you using right now? Somebody had a question about that. So
right now I've got, it's a little cheap Rode shotgun mic. It's their little $99 mic. I changed my setup in my office and I can't have my podcaster mic set up in front of me yet because I don't have a stand for it. So I've got this thing hooked up right now. But I don't recommend this for a podcast or a webinar. You should have a higher end mic if you're going to use a higher end shotgun mic or a podcaster mic.
Nice. Is that what you use for your videos too?
So when I'm shooting right now, I use this mic for Beer of the Week. When I shoot those, I'm actually about to buy the Rode Video Mic Pro is what I'm about to buy because it'll be way better for shotgun mic. But for the Bob and Brad show, when me and him shoot that podcast, I use a podcast mic, which is normally what I would use for something like this.
Got it. And do you rehearse on location or wing it on the day you shoot when you actually do the shoots?
The music videos?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of rehearse like at my house, but I can't, it's hard to rehearse those, like the shots, until we're actually there, because, you know, like that kitchen, that was a friend of mine's kitchen. So until we were in the house, you know, I couldn't just show up to his house the day before and be like, hey, I'm just going to rehearse my entire video. So, you know, when we got there, you kind of do have to wing what it looks like in person. But there's so much other preparation that's gone into it that's, you know, it's not very difficult to do that.
So I've got another question, another technical question for the high S's out there. They're thinking to themselves, how in the hell do you quantify an ROI on this spend? Because, you know, obviously eyeballs doesn't necessarily mean business. So how do you justify that spend of anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000 to produce a video that may flop?
Right. So it's almost a blind belief, because when I talk to people about how did they hear about me, a lot of times what I hear is, oh, I just, you know, I follow your Facebook, which is great. I don't know what video drew them to me. I don't know, you know, what video helped them make the decision to call me to help them buy or sell a house. You know, I don't know that. It's very hard to quantify. But what I can say is that before I started doing video, I was selling between $3 to $4 million of real estate a year. And now I'm on pace to sell between 8 and 9. And I've only been doing video for a little over a year and a half, 2 years. So, you know, the level of production changed very quickly once I started putting out this content. So it's, I mean, it's brand awareness. It's not, you know, it's not a lead generation strategy. It's brand awareness, which causes my phone to ring as opposed to me having to call people and follow up because they submitted a lead form. You know,
I think there's a big difference that people miss when it comes to what you're doing. I think right now what you're doing is you're creating a brand versus you going out and purchasing leads or sending out little flyers and things like that. You're creating a whole sense of who you are and what you stand for that lives online forever.
Right.
And I think that's a stronger sell for agents, brokers, teams that want to create a business out of this, right?
Right.
That's
Well,
definitely where you want to put the money in.
and I think that that's where the whole real estate business probably has a lot of things backwards, is because we've all been taught and trained from the beginning that the way you generate business in real estate is by prospecting and generating leads. So this is completely counter that, to where I'm not prospecting. Well, I am prospecting, but it's through branding. It's through getting my face in front of people. And the leads are being generated backwards. Instead of me putting out an ad that generates a lead form, people have been watching my videos, they bought into my brand, and then they call me. So then I'm responding to the client as opposed to the client responding to me. So in my opinion, it's more effective because I can spend, you know, 5 to 10 hours a week in front of a camera, and then I don't have to worry about calling anybody. I can spend the rest of my time actually doing the job. So it's, to me, I prefer this every day of the week. But I think when people hear it, it sounds so opposite to what they've been taught that there's an immediate knee-jerk reaction to it, to say like, oh, I'm not going to spend that money on it because that doesn't help me prospect and that doesn't help me generate leads, which is what they've been taught they need to do to be successful in the business. So, you know,
it's called attraction marketing, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a long game. And that's the thing. You just said it best. You got into real estate. You went and sat at your broker's training with, you know, I'm not going to name names, but the traditional real estate coaches who told you, go knock on doors, go pick up the phone. It's all about how many dials you make. It's all about FSBOs. It's all about expireds. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's effective. But if you enjoy doing that, most don't. If you enjoy doing that, don't bother with video. But if you want to get into a place where, you know, 2 to 5 years down the road, the business just calls you like it is for Bob, like it is for me, like it is for Tristan, then this is the strategy you need to employ, but be patient with it. Because most of us, myself included, Bob, I still don't have aspirations of doing the videos that you do because I don't have the patience to put that much time in. You just solidified I probably will never do a parody video because I don't have the patience to put it together.
Yeah.
I like quick stuff. That's why I love TikTok. I can just I can bang something out in 2 seconds and it's out and it's good, right? But this is powerful because what you said, so anybody listening to this is a long game strategy. Bob is young and Bob is going to be, he's doing 8 to 9 million now. He's going to be doing 20 million probably in 12 to 24 months. And he's going to be scaling and he's going to have new opportunities and his world's going to change. His life's going to change. I know it. I guarantee it. And maybe you don't aspire for that, but if you want to double your business or you don't want to be chasing business a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, start employing a strategy similar to this. And it's not just about viral video. That's just the fun conversation to have with Bob, is that. I cut you off, so I didn't know if you had anything to finish there. I'm sorry.
Well, what I was going to say, there's a very prominent person in the real estate business. I'm not going to name names, but he's very big on calling, and that calling is what generates business. And he posted a few weeks ago that he had 30 deals pending, and there's most pending deals he'd ever had in his career, but he's been cold calling since 2004. And for me, I've been in the business for 4 years. I've been producing video marketing for not even 2 years. And at the same time that he had his 30 deals pending, I had 15. So, I was at half the amount of production he was at, but I've been doing video marketing for 2 years. He's been cold calling for 16. If I scale correctly, I'll be at the same place he is after 16 years and 4. So for me, that's where, this is way more effective. But I mean, the thing is the client just knows who you are. So it's really hard to quantify because they're not like, oh yeah, I called on your mailer. They're like, I called you because you're Bob. And that's
it right there. You're creating a brand versus always having to chase the leads. I know who you're talking about. And on top of that, you're not pushing away people through your aggressiveness, right? Number one, you're attracting people that already want to work with you. And when you put it that way in front of people that want to succeed in this business or any business, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a business where people come to you and say, I'd love to work with you. I watch what you're doing. Come and list my home, versus you having to pick up the phone, dial them, convince them that you're amazing, go and compete against 4 or 5 other agents to make it happen.
right.
And look, that's the biggest difference. And to me, it pisses me off when I hear other coaches or pretend coaches say, hey, do it this way because this is the best way. No, it's not.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, there's plenty of ways to be successful in real estate. I mean, there's tons of strategies. I believe this is the most effective way, so that's why I do it.
It's the most enjoyable, man. I mean, it's the most enjoyable. I enjoy it when my phone rings, A, and B, when it's, for me, I'm in mortgage, and it's really hard to get realtors to call you. Well, I cracked that code, and when you do it, it's like, I can't even describe it. It's like that moment, like, holy shit, I just won, right? And it's no different than when a client calls you to say, I saw you here. I heard you speak here. I saw your video here. It's a game changer, man. And it's why I'm so passionate about it. I know you're as equally passionate about it. We do have a question I want to answer real quick for Tammy. She asked if there's a email video follow-up sequence to any of the stuff that you do.
So I don't have an email follow-up sequence that I use video in, but I mean, I've got a lot of friends that do. I mean, Brad McCallum and Michael Thorne are 2 guys that I talk to a lot that are real big on BombBomb. They love BombBomb because it allows them to follow up in video format in email, which I haven't started doing. See, that to me is kind of like sending out mailers to where, even though I love video, like I hate that. So like I don't do it, which I probably need to integrate it into my business, but at this point I haven't.
Well, dude, it's so easy because we do it too. And we have automation set up. And if nothing else, it's just an automatic email going out to a client. And all you're doing is humanizing yourself. all you're doing is making yourself more real. And especially in today's day and age when we can't meet with them. I'm a big proponent of Bomb as well. I know both of those gentlemen very, very well, and they both are phenomenal at what they do, as we all know.
Yeah.
So any parting thoughts as we come up on the hour? Any parting thoughts for anyone on just the whole concept of creating viral video, just creating video in general? What is Bob Tompkins? What is the advice that he gives when a realtor calls and says, dude, help me?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that always jumps into my mind is, guys like Ryan Searhant didn't get a $1 million listing without vlogging first. So if you want the influence and you want to be able to grow that brand, you've got to be able to put the work in, because it's not like you're just going to pop up on the HGTV. Yeah, I mean, I guess some people do get the opportunity through like the different home tour shows, but if you want to be able to grow that influence, you've got to be able to put the work in and hire the people to work for you, because it's an investment and you get out of it what you put into it. And if you're not willing to put in time and you're not willing to put in money, you've got to do one of the two. It's better if you do both, but if you don't do any of it, you're never gonna have the video influence. So it kind of comes down to the whole just do it mindset, which people hate to hear that, because they're like, if I knew what to do, I would just do it. But it's a time and money thing. If you'll invest into it, it'll generate a return. It's hard to quantify, but I'm looking at my board right now and there's a lot of business on it. So that's, really all I can say about it.
I love it. And you said it earlier on this webinar was, find what you're passionate about, find what's easy for you to talk about. And so when people ask me all the time, I don't know what to talk about, I say, what are you interested in? It doesn't matter if it's crocheting, if it's drinking beer, if it's cooking, if it's gardening, it doesn't matter. That's easy content that you're already passionate about. It's easy for you to spew it. It's easy for you to be eloquent about it. It's easy for you to be a quote unquote expert about it. And so put out content around it. You'll find there's a lot of people that share in the same passion and will become raving fans. And then it just grows from there. That's where you start. And before you know it, you're doing a music video.
Exactly.
I love it, dude.
I love it. Okay,
right.
So I have two more questions real quick, just personal questions. Number one, I'm gonna ask them both. Number one, what was your favorite video you've ever done? Number two, what's next?
So my favorite video that I've ever done was I made a video called Realtors in Quarantine, where I did little jokes about like being in quarantine right towards the beginning of COVID. The reason it's my favorite video is I produced it all by myself and it got like 25,000 views. So I was super proud of that because my videographer wasn't involved in it at all. So that definitely is my favorite video that I've produced. And what was the second question?
What's next?
So we're already working on another music video. So I was actually working on it before Knock. So I'd had everything about half written. It's a rap song. I'll give you that much, but I'm not going to tell you what song. But it's going to be a good one. I think lyrically, it's the best thing I've wrote. So we'll see how it performs.
I sense it's going to be Easy E or something like that.
Maybe.
Just kidding. Awesome, dude. This has been fantastic. Tristan, anything to add before we wrap it up?
No, man. Just thank you for being on. We appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
And if you guys want more Bob Tompkins, tune in this afternoon. What time are we going this afternoon? What time your time?
I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern, I think is right.
4 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Central, which would make it 1 o'clock Pacific. We're gonna talk about a different set of topics with Bob, but it's obviously going to be all about video. Bob, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you. I cannot wait for the next video. Look forward to continuing to follow you, man. You're an awesome dude, man. We appreciate you.
Awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man. Take care.